Hi, this is Lydia Cornell from Too Close for Comfort and Full House and Curb Your Enthusiasm and every show in the 80s and 90s. And I'm so excited to be on the RockStop with Chris Contra. Best show ever.
All right, welcome into the RockStop. Chris Contra here, and man, I got a great show for you guys tonight. My guest this evening, a very lovely and talented actress. You may know her best for coming into your living rooms every Tuesday night after Three's Company as Sarah Rush. This is Lydia Cornell. How's it going, Lydia?
Thank you, Chris. I'm so happy I'm finally on your show. I love your show.
Thank you so much. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we might even do a reboot. I've been in talks with our producers to bring Sarah Monroe and Jackie moving back in together in San Francisco.
That's definitely exciting for fans of the show. Classic show, Too Close for Comfort. I mean, so many shows, in that era may have had a pilot, and then it never really developed into anything. Too Close for Comfort, though, definitely got a foothold in there. When did you realize that was that show had caught on so much with the fans?
It was a huge hit in the beginning. Well, the first 3 years we were on ABC Tuesday nights, and then they thought we were such a big hit, they moved us to Thursday night opposite Magnum P.I. and I think Simon & Simon, and we had Joni Loves Chachi following. This is the 80s. This is the time of innocence and big hairdo, aircraft carrier hairdos. You could land a plane on my head. But it was such a beautiful, fun time in showbiz. It was a sense of innocence about it. And I knew it was a hit because we got the fan mail. We were in the top 10 the first 3 years, and crazy fans. It was a lot of fun. I was in New York City after I did Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve in 82 or 83. No, it was 82. And I walked out of the Plaza Hotel, and actually this was after the first episode aired. I was in the Plaza Hotel. I walked outside, and a woman yelled, "Hi, Lydia." And I went, "Oh, how do you know my name? How does she?" It's so weird to have someone in New York City know your name.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve, that must have been a pretty cool experience to be at one of those.
Daryl Hall and John Oates, the Go-Go's, Ronnie Millsap, Jermaine Jackson, and then I was the co-host with Anthony Williams from Happy Days. Like such
a who's who of people there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
you mentioned the Go-Go's were there, huh?
Yeah, Belinda Carlisle.
Now, I did.
It was so cool.
I did hear that before you kind of got into the acting thing, that you did work in A&R for a little bit for Epic Records.
Oh, yeah. How did you know that?
I have done some research.
Whoa. Uh-oh. Yeah, I had I knew everyone. I knew Kim Fowley. I knew the manager of the Runaways and Joan Jett. And by the way, I worked at Caribou Ranch in college, my last year of college.
Wow.
In the summer of senior year in Boulder, Colorado. There's a recording studio at the top of the mountain at Nederland, Colorado, way above sea level in the highest part of Colorado, in the Rocky Mountains. And it's where Elton John recorded Caribou, and Billy Joel recorded one of his first albums, his hit album, the one that made him a star. And the Beach Boys, Chicago, the owner was Jimmy Guercio, who managed the Beach Boys in Chicago, and Dan Fogelberg, and a band called Gerard. But everybody played. I picked up Joni Mitchell at the airport. In those days, Joni Mitchell was the iconic, blues singer.
Yeah.
With her album Blue. And then I met America, the band America. I met part of Lydia McCartney's family. Hung out with Billy Joel. I hung out with, the Beach Boys. I went out with Dennis Wilson.
So, I mean, these are legends.
Carole King, I picked. Oh, yeah, legends. I mean, this was like the most exciting. But I crashed Billy Joel into a snowbank.
Oh, no.
I didn't know how to drive. I didn't know how to drive a four-wheel drive, and I had volunteered for everything. I went, I'll pick him up. So I pick up the whole band at the airport, and I can't drive a four-wheel drive in the snow. And we almost rolled it over, and I got fired, and then Billy fought for my job back. And I got the job back. It was so much fun. I wanted to break into the music business. That was my first. I figured acting was too hard to break into, so I wanted to manage rock bands. And I studied Clive Davis's book from Arista Records, the Business of Music. My biggest dream was to just be a rock and roll manager. So I found a female band called Raw Honey. I used to go to all the nightclubs, scope out the bands, and I was trying to, bring a band up to Caribou. I had all these big dreams. And then I road managed Michael Murphy, a famous, was pretty well known at the time. He had a big hit called Wildfire, Carolina in the Pines. If you've got to play that song once in your life, play Wildfire.
Yeah.
So they let me be the road manager. And I dyed my hair a mousy brown. I used to have kind of sun-streaked hair, but I tried to be real butch-looking so the guys wouldn't hit on me. And I had to pick up the money every night from every venue. So we went to Cleveland, the Girl Club. We drove all over the country in a big bus.
I always love hearing about, what goes on behind the scenes and things. And when I heard you work for Epic Records, I thought, man, that's you must have some pretty interesting experiences. And the Go-Go's. I remember watching the behind the music on the Go-Go's. They kind of came off as wholesome and in the early days image, but then you see the behind the music, and they were partying as hard as anybody.
Oh yeah, they were. We were. It was a very heady time to be alive. And the problem with the '80s is cocaine made its way into everyone's noses. We can't avoid. It was a horrific time in our lives. I remember. Everybody seemed a little out there. I mean, people were doing. We can talk about this, but I don't like drugs, and I'm sober now 25 years. I got sober in 1994.
Congratulations!
And my son is now 20. My son is 25 now. Thank you. It's a miracle.
Yeah, absolutely.
But oh my God, Caribou Ranch. Oh my gosh,
it was everywhere.
Some bands would bring every band had a cabin, and some of a whole band would come up and book the studio, it's a recording studio. So they do an album there, and they get to stay in the Rockies and ride horses. And there's a big lodge to eat dinner, and there was a big grizzly bear in the lodge. And famous photographers would come up, Rolling Stone, and we would serve them food. And I was a kitchen girl, a photographer, and an airport girl. I would run around doing everything.
You wore many hats.
And then, yeah. So we would serve dinner to the guys in their cabins. There'd be grizzly bear, the lodge, Ule, and Running Bear. And one of these big, huge rock stars was in his cabin for too many days, and they had to break the door down to get him out, and there was a huge mountain of cocaine on the piano. So this was the time when you could really die from this stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was so prevalent, and in the entertainment world, especially the music end of it, it was just everywhere, and it seemed like people were just adapting to their surroundings. Yeah,
it seemed as if it was part of the party lifestyle, like you had to do drugs if you were going to be a rock star.
Yeah.
And most of them are sober today. I'm so grateful. There's a big musicians picnic that we all go to with some of the biggest names in the industry. And I'm so grateful and lucky that I had this miracle happen to me where I walked into my first meeting and I surrendered. I literally surrendered my depression, my fear, and my alcoholism, and a God shot. I call it a God shot, small G. It's not religious, but something so miraculous happened that day, a coincidence that was too uncanny to be random. It felt like magic. It felt like there's got to be a divine force in the universe.
Had you tried to clean up before that, or was it like
you have to first admit it,
right?
And I wasn't ready to ever do that. I was covering and hiding and pretending and drinking alone, and then going to parties slightly buzzed or blitzed and not quite ever remembering anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then there would be the blackout days,
Yeah.
I had a really scary thing happen that I can't really say on the air. I mean, I tell it in my story when I do public speaking, but it was so horrifying. It was a really scary moment. And literally for a few days after that, I still didn't wake up. I didn't understand. And then when I finally went to my first meeting, I'm like, I don't even know how I got there to this day. It was like, I walked in with a hat and sunglasses, and it was all women, shiny, beautiful, incredible women from Beverly Hills. And I heard someone at the podium say, if you walked into this room and you don't know if you're an alcoholic, let's put it this way. Virgins don't take pregnancy tests. And the whole audience roared with laughter. It was like an explosion of laughter. And I went, wow, everyone's so happy and they're having fun. What is this?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they asked if I was, if anyone in the room needed help or was an alcoholic, my hand shot up without my permission. And I remember looking it up there and going, first prayer. My first surrender was my first prayer. It was just admitting it and being recognized. And I thought I was too famous to get sober because I had my hat and sunglasses on. And, at that point, everybody thinks, oh my God, I can't reveal the truth.
So you looked at it like because of your fame, it would be harder maybe to get clean because of tabloids or something running stories on you?
Maybe, yeah, because it was such a miraculous moment that I walked in there.
Yeah, that was interesting.
And I never expected it would happen that quickly. But that day when I raised my hand, a river of tears, I could not stop crying. It was like 20 years of hiding and covering.
Right.
This flood came off me.
Wow.
By admitting it, just the admission of it at all, and then all these beautiful, incredible women went over and hug you, and suddenly you're swept up in the love. It's love.
Mm-hmm.
And I never, ever had a craving to drink since that day.
Wow.
25 years ago. But I had many of these so-called God shots, uncanny coincidences that make you feel like there's a supernatural thing happening. It's when you're in the flow and of the surrender of just the flow of life, and you're in the present moment. When you're in the present moment, totally enjoying right now, like you and I talking, or enjoying whatever you're doing, and not thinking of the future with worry,
right,
or regretting the past with fear of the past. When you're in this present moment, that's where the divine, where God intersects our lives, humanity. That's where the joy of life is, right here.
Yeah, very well said. And I really hope people are listening to this and take what Lydia's saying to heart here, because, even when it looks, hopeless, there's always hope.
Oh, my gosh. My whole life started at that moment. Alcoholism is a form of depression, really. We're just self-medicating.
Yeah.
And the only medication I'm on is self-pity now, so that's a joke. I've been writing, everything happened to me after I got sober. I started writing comedy. Everything became funny.
Yeah.
Like, really sad things became funny, so it was like kind of a gift.
Right. Yeah, you gotta have a sense of humor too, and it's important. But it was interesting that you were saying like you don't really remember how you got there and how you turned that corner, even after you mentioned that really scary thing that happened to you. And I've heard stories like that before. I mean, I read Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He wrote a memoir where he talked about, like, he was addicted pretty bad to some things, and his bandmate died. He died of a drug overdose, and you would have thought like that would have been the moment that Anthony cleaned up, and it really wasn't.
I forgot to say that the most tragic thing in my life at that point, and still probably, is my baby brother. I found his body. He died of a drug overdose. I was 6 months sober, and I tried so hard to rescue him.
Yeah.
And we did everything we thought we were doing right, but we didn't. Here's what's sad. He tried heroin only 3 times in his life, and he was a concert pianist and a gifted, incredibly fragile soul. Really wounded, though. Something wounded him when he was young. I think it was something to do with a harsh, critical parenting or abusive. I don't want to get into that, but he was such a beautiful, delicate soul, and so almost too wounded for this world. But he only tried heroin 3 times, and it finally got him. It was like I found his body on one morning, and I was sober and clean. I never thought I could get through that sober, and also help my mother through that, and my stepfather, and then get through my little boy turning 1-year-old that year. Mm-hmm. But it's really interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the fact
I
that
think Paul's death helped a lot of people in a weird way.
Yeah, that it showed you, to deal with a horrible, traumatic experience as that is, but that you were still able to stay sober is it's quite miraculous.
Yeah, everything is kind of miraculous when you stay in the light, and you actually have to wake up in the morning and trick your mind into thinking of good things. Mm-hmm. Like, I do a gratitude list. Every morning I wake up and go, thank you for this beautiful day. Thanks for my eyesight. Yep. I actually can wiggle my toes. I'm resilient, and I'm going to just choose to feel good today. You have to make a choice to see the joy.
Right. Talking a little earlier about your, your career. So when you finally got your foot in the door and became an actress, what was that? What was the feeling?
Well, it was amazing, because one of my first days in town early on, I came back from Holland, where I was taking care of my dad. He had a heart attack after the Epic Records job. And then I come back to LA, and I'm walking into a restaurant in Beverly Hills, La Scala. At the front booth, there's Natalie Wood, Robert Wagner, Fred Astaire, and Aaron Spelling.
Wow.
Aaron Spelling was producing Charlie's Angels, Love Boat, Fantasy Island, and Starsky and Hutch, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know, I knew he was like the most prolific producer in town at the time, right?
Yeah.
So I walk right by them, I'm starstruck. It's like an out-of-body experience. And I'm sort of with a date, a new guy I met, and an agent, actually. And we were seated right across from him in a booth. And I look up, and Natalie Wood is motioning for me with her finger to come over, like summoning me. So she goes, come over, and she summons me, and I kind of walk over like a robot. And I stand there in front of their booth, these foreign legends,
Yeah.
And she goes, Mr. Spelling would like to meet you. And I'm looking at this man, this Aaron Spelling, and he goes, hello, what's your name? And so he starts talking to me, and he goes, you should come in and audition for some role. Are you an actress? And I said, yes. And so he said, I want you to meet Kathy Henderson, our casting director at Love Boat, and Charlie's Angels. So I went in the next day. They were casting a series called, what was it called? Bay Cats. Michelle Pfeiffer got the part eventually. Mm-hmm. But I got this part on Love Boat, my first part ever.
Wow.
And then I got a little part on Charlie's Angels. So it started everything. And the part on Love Boat was me playing shuffleboard, wearing a bikini, and holding a martini, and dissing Artie Johnson. He used to be on Laughing. And it was just a really snobby role where I kind of put him down.
Yeah.
But I looked right in the camera and said my line, and the director goes, hey, darling, hey, you bimbo. I think he didn't call me bimbo, but I felt like he was. You don't look in the camera, you look off camera.
You were very new to the experience, so.
Yes, it was so embarrassing. Oh my God.
You did a number of Love Boat episodes, right? Like a handful of them.
I did 6 of them, including that one. So there's 5 regular ones and that one.
Yeah, did they bring you back as like different characters each time?
Yeah, each time. And the funny thing is, they did it on hiatus, and because Aaron Spelling always brought the stars of series onto his Love Boat every year, I did so many fun roles. Michelle Phillips in Mom is the Puppet, she played in a role with me. Diane Ladd, Patty Duke, Engelbert Humperdinck, Artie Johnson. So many stars are in this show. You're guest starring. And then I did Knight Rider 18, Full House, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I did Dixon Hazard, Hunter, Hardball, Simon & Simon.
You have quite the resume there. And you mentioned the Full House appearance. I think that may be one of the only times I've seen you not with blonde hair.
Yeah, thanks that's so cool that you've done your research. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I dyed my hair dark. Oh, agents can be so cruel in this industry. I was looking to change my career and stop being typecast as a dumb blonde. And it's really hard to do that when you have a series.
Yeah. They
often don't let you work in movies. In the old days, they wouldn't let you work. If you were a soap opera star in the daytime, they would never let you graduate to nighttime TV, prime time. I was in a sitcom, so I wasn't considered hip enough to do feature films until someone else broke the mold. I don't know who that was, maybe Friends. Mm-hmm. So it was really hard to break the typecasting. So I dyed my hair dark, and I got a part as a Spanish teacher on Full House. And I got to kiss Bob Saget, who's a friend of mine. And then I played Quantum Leap as a brunette. Don Belisario, who produces NCIS, he produced Quantum Leap with Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
A time travel show.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had long black hair, long dark hair down to my waist. I get the part, and we're out at Edwards Air Force Base. First of all, the Teamsters pick you up at Universal Monday morning. And they go, well, you travel light. Where's your suitcase? I go, what do you mean? We're going for 3 weeks. You can't come back. And I'm like, oh, my God, I don't have... 5 a.m. So they bought me all my clothes and pajamas. And, I brought my own toothbrush and all that. But yeah. So we're out there. I'm playing a pregnant pilot's wife. And then I got on the set. Don Belisario himself sees me. He goes, hey, wait, you can't have long hair. It's a 1950s part. It's got to be short hair. I go, why didn't you tell me before I got the part? I'm not cutting my hair off. So I had to run around Lancaster trying to find a wig, and we found a really good wig. It was just like Gina Lola Brigida. Yeah. Or Ava Gardner.
So that's a wig you got on in that one. And as you said, this was kind of your opportunity to break away from your blonde bombshell image a little bit, doing roles like that. And with your image is what it was. I mean, I'm sure Playboy magazine must have approached you.
Yes. Several times. But and I kept saying no. Mm-hmm. I would never do nudity. For some reason in my heart, I would never, ever do it. I have a really funny story about a movie I did where they tried to get me to do topless. But one more thing, when I was at the top of my sex symbol status or whatever, I was in all the magazines. Mm-hmm. It came to me, Victoria Principal, I think Sarah Fawcett, Charlene Tilton, and Donna Mills or somebody else, and Hustler, Larry Flynt wrote me a letter with gold leaf stationery saying, I will pay you $1 million to pose nude for Hustler. And I said, absolutely not. Never. You would never get me this. That raunchy magazine was like the worst thing I've ever seen. Somebody still put my headshot, a really goofy headshot of me looking like a cheerleader, and they stuck it on a nude body with the legs spread. And I was so upset on the internet. And I'm like, how do you get this thing taken down? It was so fake looking. Yeah. They obviously just cut my headshot off and stuck it on a body.
Right, yeah.
But I just couldn't do it. I knew one day I'd have children, and I didn't want to do nudity. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the Greek Isles doing my first movie with with James Earl Jones and Jose Ferrer, 2 Oscar winners.
Oh, yeah?
James Earl Jones hadn't done Darth Vader yet. He's like an iconic, Shakespearean actor. And Jose Ferrer had won the Oscar already for Cyrano de Bergerac. And Lila Kedrova had won for Zorba the Greek. 3 Oscar nominees, Oscar actors.
Wow.
And we're in the Greek Isles doing this movie with Martin Kove from Cobra Kai. Martin Kove is in The Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Deborah Shelton from Dallas and another woman from American Graffiti. Oh, no, she was in Animal House.
Okay.
She was the woman in the window, the naked woman in the window.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on this Greek island. They paid me a good amount of money to run on the beach wearing a bikini to be a smuggling buddy of James Earl Jones, and I have to die in the water and drown. And there's, first of all, we don't speak Greek at all, and I'm in this Aegean castle with donkeys carrying the camera equipment up to the monastery at the top. It was a really primitive place to live for 9 weeks. And all the actors are like, we're having dinner on this yacht that harbors. The yacht is anchored in the harbor, this tiny village, a fishing village in the Aegean Sea. And it was like really crazy.
Yeah.
And the producers were trying to get me to do topless, and I refused. And on the day of the shooting my swim scene, I have to pull my top off from the back. It looks like I'm nude. But I was like, I told the wardrobe lady, and I couldn't speak Greek, and I said, look, I kept motioning, cover this up. And we kept putting bandages, we put gauze, and nothing would stay out in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, she got this brain, so she goes, and she pulls out this zinc oxide cream, all white cream that's waterproof. And she rubs it all over my breast. And there's an underwater camera. There's a whole big camera underwater with a scuba diver, and they're shooting me from the top going in the water. I have to swim way out. The director yells, cut. I can never hear him yell, cut.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get me naked at all. Every single bit of footage was white breasts covered with cream. And then I went to the cave of the DP. We all lived in kind of these primitive caves. It's so crazy. James Earl Jones was doing Shakespeare in a scuba suit. And we all have castle rooms that we're living in, but a lot of the people were in caves. I went to the cave of the DP. I stole the roll of film because I was so scared it was nudity on it, because I was going to star in Too Close for Comfort when I came home, and I didn't want to be. I thought, nudity will ruin my ability to be the girl next. ABC will sue me or something.
Yeah. You were literally ducking and dodging to keep your image as wholesome as possible.
Well, there's no protection when you're on an island like that.
Yeah.
SAG isn't there. Your managers aren't there.
Wow.
No one can just
and
say,
that was...
She's not going to...
Yeah, I was going to say, that was your first movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
I got it right before I got Too Close for Comfort. Back to back. I got the movie and the series, and luckily there was an actor strike in November 11, 1980. Our show premiered, but they pushed it back so we could... it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, wow. Did that experience on that set, it sounds kind of a little shady at times on that first movie you said.
Yeah.
Did it kind of sour your experience on doing more films?
No, I love it. Oh, my God, filmmaking is so much fun. You have lunch at midnight. They call lunch. Whenever you're doing night shooting, you start at 6 p.m. when it turns dark, 7 or 8 p.m., and then you break for lunch at midnight. It's just so much fun being on a movie set in an exotic country.
Yeah.
The actors are all babies. We're all trying to be... Yeah. It was fun. It was really fun.
Too Close for Comfort, great show. It went 6 seasons. Mm-hmm. You were on 5 of them. I believe you and Deborah were on the first 5, and then they did one more. I don't know if it was called I think they switched the name, right? The Ted Knight Show or something.
The worst thing they ever did. It was a really dumb business decision, and I don't know why they did it. Arnie Sultan died suddenly, and he was my producer. He created Get Smart and worked with Mel Brooks, and he was a famous showrunner. But when he died, they brought in a new producer, and they changed the whole show. And it was like, what are they doing? Deborah didn't want to do the show again. They kind of wanted to get rid of the sisters because ABC wanted to do a spin-off of our show, Sarah and Jackie.
Yeah.
But at the time, I have to tell you, there was a lot of jealousy and envy, and whenever we had a big starring role together, Deborah and I had a couple of really funny sister fight scenes.
Yeah.
Where did I do this? Or she mushed a piece of pizza into my dry cleaning? Maybe I did it. I can't remember which one. This is a very funny episode.
Yeah.
Ted would get really upset that the girls had too much attention.
Really?
And I have to say, I love Ted, but we had a love-hate. It was a very difficult relationship at times. But I loved him. I mean, we all...
Yeah.
made up, you know.
So he actually had some jealousy toward, you know, the attention that you and Deborah were getting on the show.
Well, I hate to say that way. I'm just saying, looking back, this is what everybody has come up with. Some critics, film critics, and TV critics have often said, well, that must have been what was going on. Why wouldn't he want you guys? It would have increased his profit, and he was a co-owner of the show.
Yeah, right.
He didn't want to see his limelight taken away. Maybe with Jimmy, Jim Bullock is one of my best friends, Monroe.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Jimmy's a punching bag. He was a buffoon, just like Ted was in Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Right.
So I think he figured, I need a buffoon to play off of, and I don't want these two pretty girls to be having their own show, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be. That could very well be, because Jim stayed on for that 6th season to keep working with Ted, But
and Ted took us to dinner, and he said, we're going to go on for 10 more seasons. And then they switched the entire format of the show. It was very odd. So you were caught off guard by that. You were expecting some more seasons coming, and then it was just over and done, just like that. Yeah, it was really a shocker. You know, I just bought a house in Bel Air with a pool, and 2 fireplaces, and I'm like, oh no, the show's ending. Oh man, it was scary and very strange. Actors, it's a very precarious business to be in. Well, I mean, it's unpredictable. I mean. Unpredictable, right? Absolutely. You don't know. Yeah, you don't know when a job will end. I mean, it could be swimming along pleasantly, and then something happens. And so, as far as Ted Knight goes, aside from maybe some of that stuff on set, he comes off as a very serious guy. Did he ever have a lighter side? Oh yes. Oh my gosh, we laughed. First of all, I love him. He was my mentor. He taught me how to do a spit take. He taught me how a spit take is when you are about to drink some orange juice or some juice, and suddenly someone says something, and you do a double take, and you almost spill your drink. It's funny. Yeah. He taught me to do the silliest things. He's the most wonderful, iconic figure. And Larry David also, he taught me a lot of improv. I did Caribou Enthusiasm. Yeah. But Ted is it's really interesting. Deborah and I got in a lot of trouble. We did the Merv Griffin show. The whole family went on. And, oh, my God, it was such a fun footage of this. We were all on, and we were in the green room with Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, and waiting to go on. And the whole cast was on stage already. Audrey Meadows, Ted Knight, Nancy Dussault. Mm-hmm. And then Merv brings out Deborah, and I'm still waiting to go in backstage to go on. And Merv says to Deborah, what was Ted Knight really like? And Deborah says, and she's nervous, because we're nervous on the talk show. It's live in front of an audience. Yeah. And she goes, well, he's kind of a kinky dad. And the whole audience is dead quiet, and Merv goes, oh. And then Ted looks kind of angry. Yeah. And Merv goes, what does that mean? What does kinky mean? We'll find out after the commercial break. We'll bring out the youngest member of the Rush family, Lydia Cornell. And then I come out after the commercial break. I'm wearing a white, so nervous. And Merv goes, so we want to find out what Deborah meant by kinky. And I go, and I just try to be funny. And I said, well, you like to lift up our skirts and look down our blouses and pop our bra tops and, and I said this horrible. Oh. I looked down the aisle at Ted's face with blood-curdling eyes, and I think I almost passed out. And his wife is on the front row with his kids, and I'm like, what did I just say? And I think I don't remember recovering from that. And it was so mortifying that Deborah and I went home together, shaking in our boots. We spent the night together. We're still really good friends, but we were up all night worrying. Yeah. We were Merv Griffin. So the next day, we go to Ted's dressing room extra early. Mm-hmm. We wait for him to get into work, and he goes, can we get in here? He starts lecturing. He starts to make us scared. And then he bursts out laughing, and he goes, it's okay. They cut that part out of the show. It's all gone. It's okay. Oh, my God. We were so scared. That's hilarious. In those days, yeah. So you were feeling the live crowd there and Merv asking you the question. So you just decided to give him a show there. That's hilarious. Did you ever see his role in Psycho? Did he ever talk about that? Yes. Is that the one where he was the guard? Yeah. Did he ever mention that? Yes, he did quite a bit, and I think he met Alfred Hitchcock, which everybody wanted to know what Alfred Hitchcock was like. Yeah, right. But, it's like every actor gets their start somewhere. It's usually a 2-bit part. Yeah. Or walk on, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure he even had a speaking line, but it was definitely memorable at that point of the movie there. God, you know a lot you're like a historian. I have one funny story. The show premiered in November, and we were already in New York. The cast was invited to New York. to the Tavern on the Green. Have you ever been there?
No.
The most gorgeous restaurant right in Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
And the glass all around the ballroom. There was a dining room with all glass looking into Central Park, right?
Yeah.
So our cast is being feted and celebrated by the producers. And there's this brand new hit show. That's when the girl recognized me. We over on the air for a couple times. And a fan comes up to the window and waves, and I think I'm waving at the fan like Miss America. And just as I'm going over to the window to blow the fan a kiss, he spits a loogie on the window. Big spitwad. It was a homeless man in the middle of I'd never seen. That's an example of my career. Every actor thinks they're doing so well, and then suddenly someone's face was framed by a spitwad just dripping down.
That sounds like a Seinfeld episode or something.
Yeah, exactly.
The Larry David Show, as you mentioned, you had a role in that. How did he approach you? Did he like your work?
No, this is really cool. By the way, I just had lunch with Larry David 2 weeks ago. I have pictures that I haven't posted yet because my friend Larry, another friend of mine, is wrote Seinfeld and also won some Emmys and wrote all these shows, Facts of Life, Roseanne, Saved by the Bell. But so we met with Larry for lunch. My boyfriend from many years ago was Robert B. Whitey. He produced a lot of documentaries on Lenny Bruce, the Marx Brothers, Woody Allen, and he was writing. Oh, he produced Curb. That's right. He was producing Curb.
Yeah.
And one day I just called him up and I said, "Look, I'd love to work with Larry. Is there any? Does he ever audition anyone?"
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Just come to think of it, tomorrow morning, he's having some women come in to read for a part. Yeah, come in tomorrow." And I went, "Oh, tomorrow?" I got all nervous, going, "Oh no, I can't. It's so scary. Auditioning, you never gets easier."
Mm-hmm.
And I had just finished writing a screenplay called Venus Conspiracy, the big screenplay, not the little short that I did a movie of.
Yeah.
And the log line is, "All human suffering is caused by Victoria's Secret," which is what we all know. So the next day, it was really interesting. I'm a Victoria's Secret. I'm selling Larry a bra, and you don't get any dialogue, no scene. It's all improv. You have to make up your own lines with Larry. You're not allowed to have a script.
Oh, wow.
There's no lines. That's how he casts. He gets a writer and an actor for free, because improv is, you have to just listen really well and play off the actor.
Yeah.
So I was dressed up in a suit. I decided to be a Victoria's Secret salesperson, because the only thing I was given was Larry comes in to buy a bra. And that's all they give you. A little piece of paper says that. So you make up everything. We're auditioning at Lucasfilm, where his offices were. The sound stages for Lucasfilm, the Foley art and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm upstairs in this office. I'm kind of nervous, okay? And we're in front of a couple producers, and Larry walks in, and I go, "Hi, can I help you?" And I do this audition. And he goes, I'm here to buy a bra. And I go, "For your wife?" And he goes, "No, for my maid." And I go, "Oh, your maid." And this is the audition. Yeah. I go, "Do you know her size? Is she a handful or half a handful?" Like a cantaloupe? And he loved that.
Yeah.
So
wow.
apparently he hired me. He hired me from that.
Oh, that's cool.
And on the set, it was in a Victoria's Secret store, which is really weird. And then in that part, he goes, "The real thing happened. We didn't do any of that. It was totally original and new." And he's touching the bra up on his face, and I said something like, he goes, "This is really soft. Why don't we make this for men?" I go, "Feel free to go try it on if you want to." And he loved that.
Wow.
He loves being made fun of.
Yeah.
Goes, I'm not a pervert. And I'm like, "No, there's nothing perverted about being a drag queen." So that's how it went. It was just like a scene you do with Larry, and it ends up, they ran it forever. I made more money off that one show. But now, I hope it comes back, because we were talking about other things. We gave him some ideas to write some episodes for next year.
Yeah. After coming off the success of Seinfeld, to think of like what else you can do, and you actually did another a huge hit like that was really impressive. So we wind down here. This is Lydia Cornell you're listening to here on the RockStop. So now Too Close for Comfort is finally back on some reruns. I'm seeing them on TV a little bit more these days. That's pretty cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And it was on Antenna TV for a 3-year run, and it was on E! Channel before that, so it's been on and off. But
yeah.
Our producers, it's actually a British show called Keep It in the Family. And the British company owns the show. So our producers are still trying to get the rights from them to do a reboot.
Uh-huh.
And maybe they're having trouble getting it syndicated, the syndication programming. I don't know how it works. Fremantle is the company now in Britain.
So the reboot would be are there talks about, and I know still got a long way to go with trying to get rights and things like that, but would it be mostly focused on the girls?
Yes, I created it. I came with my partner, I have a producing partner, pitched the idea, and my college boyfriend came up with the actual plot, Eddie Walsh. Hi, Eddie, if you're listening. It was a really cool idea. I thought, well, gosh, they did the Connors. They did Roseanne without Roseanne. And I'm sad about Ted not being there, but we could still do Sarah, Monroe, and Jackie. Right. Move back in together, and Monroe could be... Here's my idea. Monroe decides... Everyone thinks he's... Well, never mind. I can't say it properly because it's going to be politically incorrect. But anyway, we all move back in. I have teenage boys, and Deborah has a fashion business, and we're looking for a place to rent together because we're all in the downslide of our careers. It'd be funny. And yeah,
Deborah, I just want to mention real quick, was in The Warriors, a really cool action type movie. Was she doing that around or was that before Too Close for Comfort? That was before. Okay, yeah.
She is so phenomenal as an actress. I cast her in a movie I wrote, and she's the only actress that could do the lines the way I wanted them.
And as you said, you and her and Jim, that's really cool that you guys, after all these years, stay good friends.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, for sure. They feel like family,
Oh, yeah, I bet, yeah.
Did an autograph convention together, and it was like being back with your brother and sister.
Yeah, I saw you guys together do one of those things on video. You guys, and just hilarious. I mean, chemistry, even when you're not, doing a show or anything, just the chemistry between you guys is it's really fantastic.
Oh, that's right. That video is really funny. Yeah, Jimmy makes me laugh.
Oh,
I had a crush on him. I had no idea he was gay. And I was in love with him. Like, I would shake, go to work, like, trembling, going, I hope he looks at me. He would do this big Aunt Jemima butt walk. Or he would, just to make fun of me, we go up a false staircase into the set. Yeah. And I'd be right behind him, and he'd stick his butt out in the air. And I would crack up before every shot. It was like, I love him. He's
an incredibly funny guy. I mean, he would just have people rolling in the aisles when you see him on TV shows and things. Very funny. Now, we were talking earlier about all these actresses that try to make it in Hollywood, and there's so much competition, and it's so difficult, and it's really like catching lightning in a bottle that somebody is actually able to maintain some success in Hollywood. I saw you write something on Twitter that you had dinner with Brynn and Phil Hartman, like a few weeks before that tragedy happened. And, I know Brynn was like kind of one of those people that was really chasing fame.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That is so astute of you to bring that up. And it was during the time I was living with John Lovitz and Dana Carvey. I was living with John Lovitz as a friend during Saturday Night Live. And Brynn and Phil were trying to set me up with Rob Reiner on a date because I had a crush on Rob Reiner. I love really funny people.
Yeah.
So, and she was pushing me to go out with him, and I said, "Don't call him right now. I'm here in New York for just a couple more days." And it was so devastating to hear this news. She was so driven. So that's like the avarice and the greed and the pure, unadulterated lust for fame right there. That was so horrifying. She was on cocaine.
Yeah.
And she killed Phil Hartman. He was such a gifted genius.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
On Saturday Night Live,
Yeah. I mean,
she killed her husband and then killed herself.
It was one of the more shocking things that you hear about, that something like that could happen. And we were talking earlier about, the drugs and how it, can mess up your mind so horribly. And I guess that's just another example of that. That whole scene is just horrifying.
That was the most horrifying thing I'd ever heard of in Hollywood. I heard of bad things, like the Manson murders and that.
Oh, yeah, right. And this was a few weeks before that happened that you had dinner with them?
Yeah, I had dinner with them. It wasn't a few weeks. I have to figure out the timeline again when I was in New York. But
yeah, like a lot of people didn't know Brynn too well. What was your impression of her?
Well, she was incredibly pretty but driven and tall and blonde and was Norwegian almost and had blonde, perfect hair. Just sort of hanging on to Phil all the time. Oh, gosh, I wish to God he was apparently having trouble with her and problems with her all along. She wanted more. Mm-hmm. She wanted to be famous like he was.
Right.
And it's just so tragic that she took this man's life.
Yeah.
A gifted, genius comedian.
He really was. His work on Saturday Night Live and And even in little, when he would have a little part in a movie, I mean, he would just make that movie that much better. His little scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, just the guy was brilliant. Absolutely. That's a great way to put it right there. So I did want to ask you one more question before we get to what you got coming up these days, and it's about reality TV. Being on sitcoms and in movies and things, when the reality TV boom kind of hit in the, I guess it was the early 2000s or whatever, were they like coming after you a lot to like be on the Surreal
Only
Life?
when I had a scandal. When I was in the news for a fake, oh my gosh, there's some story that came out about me with a stalker. And it was a true story. The stalker scared me to death. I turned it into a comedy, a crimedy. A 12-episode crimedy series.
Yeah.
But Kelsey Grammer and I started he started a network called Todd HD with some investors, and it turned out, oh geez, this is a reality show and stuff. Real quick, the investors were organized crime ring. Kelsey didn't know this, and the FBI called me in to report on these people that were taking people's money, and then decorated war hero appeared on my chat show, my Ustream show, and he said, I want to help you with this case. This guy turned out to be a convicted felon and moved into my home briefly.
Wow.
And then he added Kelsey Grammer's name to a lawsuit. We were all doing a class action suit on behalf of all the victims of the organized crime ring. Then he adds Kelsey's name to the suit. And then I look like I'm suing Kelsey Grammer. It's not true. I can't get the story taken down. So that's been a problem. But what was your question? Reality TV.
Reality TV.
So yeah, we were going to do a show called Social Rehab that my girlfriend and I created. That we're probably going to get it sold, and it's about celebrities and their stalkers. But I didn't want to do. After that thing happened, they thought I was fighting with Kelsey, and they offered me a reality show, and I went, no, it's not even a true story.
Mm-hmm. So
but they always want to make fun of you, make you look bad, or make you look like you're screaming crazy.
Yeah.
And TMZ posted a picture of me look like I was the psychopath.
Oh man!
Instead of the stalker, they made me look really like they caught me at an angle where I got my mouth wide open.
Oh, that sucks!
And,
I hate when they do that. Tabloid trash.
The haters, right? She should have her head bashed in. She looks like an idiot. You know, instead of a woman should be protected when she's got a man trying to kill her. You know,
of course.
Oh my God! This media, this day and age.
That's too bad. That's the trashier side of Hollywood.
Yeah, so I'm writing a book called "Hiding My Brain in My Bra," and it's about how to find your innocence in a really shallow town. You know. Yeah. It's a funny book.
It's like because I was going to ask if you've had so many life experiences.
It's about that, all that stuff. Yeah, raising aliens, living with a Neanderthal, raising boys.
Cool. So when do you think that's coming out?
I don't know. I have a deadline. Tomorrow's the day I'm going to do nothing but write for 2 days to get the whole thing finished. Yeah. Is it? I have a few more. A fun process to write, or is it like does it start getting like a little taxing? Have you ever written a book? Tried to write a book? I have not yet. It's so much fun because you're alone with your thoughts, and once you access the muse and you get creative with yourself, and you're alone in a room, and you just start writing from your heart. Oh my God, magic happens! It's incredible. Finally, going back to that real book that I wrote initially, and it's fun. But I want to see this produced. I want to see this as a TV series. We're pitching it as a series. It's how you can talk to boys. I mean, you have to speak with my teenage sons, I had to speak in a plot-driven language because they would get so bored if you ever, were too descriptive. I had to learn to speak with the punchline first, Absolutely. And all the experiences of Hollywood, they're all in that book, so it'll be kind of fun to read. So, was there anything else you got coming up that you wanted to plug at all? Well, God Shots is a series to help people to find the magic in life. It's about these true life, kind of supernatural coincidences that anyone can have this if they really want it, and if they surrender, if they stop worrying and stop living in fear. So I've had these amazing experiences. But I've written a book called God Shots, and now there's different books are coming out: Recovery God Shots, Cancer God Shots, Hospice God Shots, Teenage. It's like chicken soup for the soul. So it's like a whole series of different. Okay, I gotcha. And that might be a TV show, too. I'll be hosting, like a Forensic Files, but the positive side, Right. Miracles. Everyday miracles that aren't religious, but are very there's so much beauty in the world and so much wonder. We just have to access it and key into it and stay in the present moment and being grateful.
Right.
Yeah.
This has really been great talking with you, Lydia. I appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm hoping for all the success in the future for you, for everything you got coming up.
You are an awesome host. I really love your show. Thank you, Chris. You're really wonderful to talk to.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Talk to you later. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.